Welcome to Genius Hub, the right destination for human capacity development, skills acquisition, and empowerment. Genius Hub is a human capital development organization with offices across Nigeria and Africa, and with a strong presence in Lagos, Kano, Edo, and Rwanda. With a vision to improve lives and empower knowledge, Genius Hub prides itself in providing services and training to over 17,000 persons in over 49 TVET entrepreneurship, employability, and digital skills such as basic literacy skills, graphics design, website development, digital marketing, filmmaking, and many more. Genius Hub is committed to promoting MSME growth and visibility through incubation, acceleration, startup development services, as well as tech-driven interventions, including training and capacity building in digital marketing, basic digital literacy, product photography, social media marketing, financial management, search engine optimization, and more. Through NYTV, Genius Hub reaches out to train aspiring creatives in the areas of photography, cinematography, editing, lighting, and many more. Welcome to Genius Hub, the right destination for human capacity development, skills acquisition, and empowerment. Genius Hub is a human capital development organization with offices across Nigeria and Africa, and with a strong presence in Lagos, Kano, Edo, and Rwanda. With a vision to improve lives and empower knowledge, Genius Hub prides itself in providing services and training to over 17,000 persons in over 49 TVET entrepreneurship, employability, and digital skills such as basic literacy skills, graphics design, website development, digital marketing, filmmaking, and many more. Genius Hub is committed to promoting MSME growth and visibility through incubation, acceleration, startup development services, as well as tech-driven interventions, including training and capacity building in digital marketing, basic digital literacy, product photography, social media marketing, financial management, search engine optimization, and more. Through NYTV, Genius Hub reaches out to train aspiring creatives in the areas of photography, cinematography, editing, lighting, and many more.
Yes. Oh, you are ready.
Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to our webinar series. And this is webinar time from Genius Hub. And today we are going to be having a very interesting personality. We call her Mama K, and she'll be joining us very shortly. So for all those who are just joining us, welcome and tell us where you are joining us from. This is webinar, Genius Hub webinar, and today we are going to be talking about the role of forgiveness and healing as a tool for gender-based violence survivors. We know that we have a lot of trauma in society. Media, I don't know if she's backstage. Okay, so our guest is here. I guess is the network. And today we are going to be talking about the role of forgiveness and healing as a tool for gender-based violence survivors. And with us today, we have Pastor K. Benson Akigbe II. Mama, you are good. Great. Welcome. And so before we just delve right into it, before network, I would just quickly like to read out her profile, a short profile. Bensike Akigbe II is the co-lead pastor of Femme Foundation International, whose mission is making people know the person and power of the Holy Spirit by a definite experience, building healthy relationships, and raising leaders for global transformation, empowering them to cure desert places in all stages and segments of life. She's a dedicated emotional healing practitioner on a transformative journey, extending a compassionate hand to vulnerable children, youths, and women. Her mission: to orchestrate a great transformation as pain gives way to power. Through her soul care services, she meticulously crafts pathways of renewal and resilience. Her purpose reverberates through initiatives that safeguards the preciousness of childhood, usher in the brilliance of quality education, and embodies youth to rise as unstoppable voices of change. K is seeking strategic alliances with like-minded persons and organizations, as well as technical support and resources to advance the goal of her initiatives and keep up with innovations and high-quality social service delivery in a fast changing world. And so today we bring you Pastor K. Benson Ahigbe. So in her seeking alliances, we have found ourselves here as Genius Hub, and we have brought her, we found ourselves, and I know it was not so easy to keep this appointment with her because she's a very busy person. But I want to say that she obliged us. Immediately, she jumped on board and she's been keeping tabs. How do we do this? And so I want to tell our listeners today that you are going to be enriched by this session. Once more, our topic is trauma, the role of forgiveness and healing as a tool for GBV survivors. Mama, you are welcome. Oh, let's even first start by hearing your voice. Please kindly unmute so we can hear you.
Okay. Bye-bye. How are you doing today? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can't hear me. But I've been hearing you all the while.
Good afternoon, Ma. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Ma.
Okay. Faithful, thank you. Obey, thank you so much. Okay, I'm waiting for her to be back. Obey, can you hear me now? I can hear you, Faithful. I want to be sure that Obey can hear me. Obey, you're muted.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank
No,
you so
I
much.
can hear you now.
Thank you so much for the warm invite. Help me celebrate my sister Isimeme. She's doing tremendously well. God bless her for this initiative and the team at Genius Hub. God bless you. I'm here. I'm here to serve you. Okay. I'm sure we're having network issues. Should I start talking about trauma? Obey, we're having network challenges.
So with this event,
I can hardly hear you. Okay. Maybe I should start talking about forgiveness while they are trying to put themselves together. Okay, so I welcome everyone that is joining us today. So good to have you here. You're not here by happenstance or circumstance. You're here because somehow in great design is meant for you to be here. And for anyone who has been through any kind of violence, any act of violence that has resulted to physical, sexual, psychological, any kind of abuse. Now you're suffering for something, including threat and all of that. My heart goes for you. And if you have been through any kind of thing that injured you, what happens is it leaves an invincible wound. Because it's invincible, someone might just tell you, man up, just forget about it. That's how it goes. It's okay. You're a good soldier. You're a strong person. However, it's not as easy as that. And that is because you are going through something that is so invincible, yet it is painful and has left you stuck. I just finished an emotional healing workshop for our students before this class started. I barely did 45 minutes, and the entire class broke out crying because I said something. I said, the normal setting, the default setting of a human being is to be able to receive love and give love. That's the default setting of a human being. But if something intercepts this ability to give love and receive love, it will look like where you have water, H2O, with a bit of sniper. Is no longer water, it is something else. It becomes deadly. So what happens is that this act of violence that resulted to either physical, sexual, psychological harm that has inflicted pain to someone. It's like when you have introduced sniper into a human being, and the person's normal response is that I will never forgive you for what you have done to me. That forgiveness is a kind of, you're trying to say, see, if there's nothing I can do to you, but I'm going to hurt you with not giving you forgiveness. That's what happens. Unfortunately, forgiveness hurts you more than the person that you have refused to forgive. So maybe what I should do is maybe drive to tell you that a good starting point is to be able to differentiate between what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not. It will help us to set the record straight and help the one that has been offended realize the commitment of cherished forgiveness. So let's begin with an introduction. Number one, I don't want to run so fast. I just want anywhere we stop, we stop. Forgiveness begins with the acknowledgement that an offense has been committed against you. See, you cannot forgive unless you admit that someone has offended you. This is no brainer. It's no brainer. The reason is just recognizing the situation, recognize this situation that something has been done to me. I have been wounded, an arrow has passed through my heart, no matter the kind of arrow it is. Recognizing the situation is like a grain of rice that turns in the balance. Obe, you're welcome now. So I was waiting for you. You're here. Obe, I'm waiting for you. I don't know whether she can hear me at all. Obe, if you can hear me, I was waiting for you before we start. I've already gone on. All right, maybe I could just go on. You see, your healing, the healing for someone who has been through an act of violence that has resulted to these kind of things we're talking about, who has gone through gender-based violence. Your healing begins the moment you recognize that you have been injured, you have been hurt, you have been offended. Choosing to just sweep it under the carpet means that you're going to harbor resentment And resentment can lead to all kinds of physical sicknesses. So you are running from one thing, you are arriving at another thing. You don't need that in your life. You can continue to harbor resentment, sweep it under the carpet, deny that something happened to you, and say, oh, okay, it's not really that bad. And then sometimes some people feel guilty that, oh, if I say I have not offended the person, it means that I'm not a good person. I don't have great character. It means I'm not noble. Listen, if you don't acknowledge that you have been forgiven, your healing cannot start. And sometimes you also have organizations or religious centers, I call it worship centers, where it is not safe to say that something has happened to you, to say that you have been wounded. Listen, you can't be restored to freedom until you can admit that something has happened. Number two, forgiveness doesn't remove or delete the offenses from our lives. Forgiveness does not remove or delete the offense from our life. So it's not that if you forgive the person, what the person has done has been removed from your life. That's not what forgiveness means. It does not mean that it's okay. No, forgiveness doesn't mean that you should go into denial and forget that this ever happened. And forgiveness does not declare that what the person did is now okay. Forgiveness does not mean, okay, it's okay, I have forgiven. Because I've forgiven, the person does not need to go through the consequences of the person's behavior. You don't need to go through the consequences. It's now that I've forgiven you, it's okay. No, that's not forgiveness. That's not what forgiveness means. Some people assume that when we say forgive, that it means that somehow they have come to terms with the offense and they can excuse it. No. Forgiveness does not conceal, it does not cover the seriousness of the hurt that the offense has caused you. It's important you understand this. For instance, if someone has caused you this kind of pain, whatever it is, I just want to, just whatever it is that the person did that caused this kind of pain, forgiveness does not mean that it has been concealed. Let's all just move on as good soldiers. Forgiveness does not mean you have to confess that you're no longer affected by the actions of that person. Forgiveness just simply means that you have decided that the debt, you no longer collect the debt because of yourself, because you're not forgiving for the other person, you're forgiving for yourself. Okay, let's now roll this way. Let's talk about the trauma part of it. When you say that you have trauma, what you're saying is that there is a disconnection between your head, your body, and your heart. You know that kind of disconnect. Man, in his original condition, you are like your soul. Man is a spirit, has a soul, and lives in a body. The thing about man is that in your mind, that is in your soul, it's like a triangle. You need to see this kind of thing. You have your mind, will, and emotion. You have your mind, will, and emotion. So all of them are connected. When something happens to your emotion, it will affect your mind. When something happens to your mind, it will affect your will. It's all connected like this. You find out that there are some people who are not able to say no any longer because there has been a disconnection because of what. So, Obey, you're back. I'm waiting for you. Obey, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the questions. I'm waiting for you to moderate so that we can go on. Oh Lord, Genius Hub. I'm so sorry that you're having network issues, but maybe I will just continue. I've said three things about forgiveness, and I wanted to drive through trauma and then make a connection before we close. Let me address anybody who is listening to me today or who might listen to me sometime later. I want you to listen very carefully. Your default setting as a human being is that you are created to give love and to receive love. That's your default setting. So anything that intercepts with this ability to give love and to receive love will do two things to you. It will damage you relationally. It will damage you emotionally. You arrive at a point where you're not able to maximize your potentials because these two areas have been damaged. Please listen carefully. And when I talk about emotionally, please don't just buckle it at dating and romance and all of that. It's much more than that. In the sense that everything you're going to do in life, you're going to do it with other people. You're going to do it them with human beings. You live with other people. So you arrive at your potentials working with other people. Obe, are you here now? Are we ready?
I'm here, oh, I'm here. Go on, Mama. I'm hearing you. I'm following.
I can't just be running. I'm waiting for you to. I wanted you to pull your objectives, then we can meet ourselves halfway. There's a reason why you asked me to come. So let's meet that reason.
Yes.
Yeah, let's meet that reason.
That reason. We see that a lot of people are carrying a lot of baggages with them as they are striving. We see that they are trying hard to make their mark, and yet there's something that is drawing them back. Our aim of this webinar is really to address MSMEs, and we see a lot of our business people. They are doing a lot of things outwardly, and yet we still are not reaching the mark. So we put this topic here so that we can look inward and see, is there something internally that is responsible for this drawback? And I heard you talk about forgiveness. You said forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for you. And so this is like we asking our business people, asking all the people who are listening to us, let us look inward. Are there things we need to settle within ourselves so we can move forward with our businesses? And that is what you're already addressing, Mama. So that's one of the major objective of this our webinar.
Okay. Thank you so much, my sister. Thank you so much. So do you want to ask me a question? Do you want to lead the way so that we can move on? I was just talking,
yes.
Waiting for
so you already started talking about trauma. And I recall, yes. You already started talking about trauma. So how does trauma become a hindrance? How does trauma serve as a hindrance in our life's endeavors? How does trauma act as a hindrance?
of trauma, we can drive to how it serves as a hindrance. The word Shabbat actually means brokenness, or means fragmentation, or means shatter. This is usually the effect of trauma. So let's now ask ourselves, what is it? How do we define trauma? Trauma happens when there is a disconnection between the head. You need your head to do business. The heart, you need your heart to do. So when you have the head, the mind, the heart, that is mind, will, and emotion disconnected. Just imagine that you're supposed to be like this. So sitting down in business, you need your head intact. You need your heart intact. You need your body intact. When there is a brokenness in between these three places, it becomes very, very, very difficult for you to function. It means that for you to survive, life will now have to provide a sub-persona. And that persona is not really who you are. So you are discussing, you are talking about your business or whatever it is you're building, but you do not have the emotional balance to move it forward. And it might interest you and the entire Genius Hub and everyone that's listening to us today that I am so interested in people making progress. In fact, the logo I'm drawing for Kabak, myself, is someone who is making progress. And I'll tell you why. When people are stuck, when people are broken, which is trauma, when people are broken, and what is it that breaks them, that will break someone? It is usually adverse life developmental experiences. Time will fail me to begin to show you how it plays out. But when someone has gone through developmental life experience, adverse developmental life experiences, the person is stuck. And the person is not able to move forward. My job and this program we're having today, this webinar, will help you move from brokenness, which is being stuck, to first of all, emotional stability, to emotional wholeness. Because emotional intelligence today is a resource. There are courses on emotional intelligence. If you're not emotionally intelligent and you're sitting down to do business and your emotions are running wild, you can sell your future, you can negotiate your future away because emotions are not intact. So you move from emotional wholeness and then move into interpersonal competence. Because in doing business, you need interpersonal competence. When you are stuck, that aspect of your life is broken. It's like trying to, if I ask you, okay, please, can you give me a cup of water? When you're giving me the cup of water, it's my hand I'm going to use to take the cup of water. It's not my leg, it's not my mouth. Of course, there are some people that, because some disability has happened, they have also developed another way of taking that cup of water. But for me, who do not have that kind of, let me call it ability in disability, if I ask you for water, I will use my hand to collect it. But when I'm now using ear to collect cup of water from you, you know that there is something wrong. So the person does not have interpersonal competence. Then you could now talk about mental balance. You need all of this for your business. That will then proceed to personal transformation. Listen, let me tell you, if you have a dysfunctional boy, a dysfunctional is a boy who is functioning dangerously. And the boy never transited out of the dysfunction and becomes your governor today. You will be shocked at the kind of untold pain that boy will cause us. Because as part of adverse life condition is when you have suffered something, maybe mother wound, maybe father wound, siblings and friends, what it does to you is for you to cope in life, you will have to find ways. And one of the ways to cope is that you build a wall to protect yourself, protect your heart, and while building the wall, you fence every other person. That jail is not a jail that is like Kuje or Kirikiri prison. The difference is that you are the jailer, you are also the one carrying the jail. You carry the jail into a boardroom negotiating a business. You carry the jail to talk with your customers. Unfortunately, my sister, Genius Hub, you need to hear this. You see, if you see these glasses I'm wearing, it determines how I interpret everybody I'm seeing. If I'm wearing broken lenses, I'm going to do businesses from broken lenses. Even if what I'm saying is the wrong thing, I'm still going, if you take me to a training, I'll be listening to the training from broken lenses, broken perspective. You have a broken worldview, you have a broken perspective. So you do everything from a shattered perspective. And most times, businessmen, politicians, sports people, many people are engaging their world from a broken perspective. And we need to come to a place of healing. Oh, my sister, listen. If you are broken, the pain you will inflict on other people, and you will inflict that pain from a sincere heart. I was saying something to you, I didn't finish. And I was saying that when people have gone through adverse life developmental experiences, some of the things you see, they develop something called rejection. They reject you before they reject you, reject them. And some other people will use everything to buy love. Love is supposed to be free. Love is supposed, I'm not talking to parents. Love is supposed to be free. You now have to earn love with good behavior. You don't have to behave well for your parents to love you. However, if you have come to a place where you have wounded, when you have gone through wounds of deprivation, you come into business, that's why you even cheat your customers. You will make life miserable for them. You will sell expired materials, because all you're thinking about is just yourself. Because when people are wounded, what they do is that they only look after themselves. You must hear this. You see, Obey, if both of us are in a house and you have injured your hand and I've injured my hand, and I'm running to you and you're running to me for me to find comfort and nurture, none of us, I won't be able to take care of you, won't be able to take care of me, because wounded people all focus on themselves. Just tell me when time is up. If you have more questions to ask, I'll just stop.
We have entered the matter. We have really entered the matter. You just wrapped with something now that wounded people only take care of themselves. At Genius Hub, when we do our business trainings and all the trainings we do, we usually begin with what we call life skills. And these life skills, where we talk about body image, self-esteem, emotional intelligence, communication skills, we have also added what we call act-based intervention.
Yeah.
Now, that's where you see this thing you have just described. People are smiling with you, but they are actually broken people moving up and down. And so we have this activity we call gratitude treasure box. We ask people to paint a gratitude treasure box. Tell us the things you are grateful for, including pain, things that have happened to you. Tell us what you are grateful for. There are some people who have said to us, we are not grateful for anything. Nothing when anybody don't ever do for me. I'm not grateful for anything. I'm not fit paint. I'm not grateful for anything. And this person has come for a training and she wants to be able to benefit, engage customers, and make progress, like you said. This is somebody coming with this load of ingratitude. She wakes up, she cannot find only one thing to be grateful about. Then we have those who say, oh, they are so grateful for so many things. But there is this one they are holding on to. There is this black spots that they cannot let go. So that's why we coined this topic. We brought it, we said the place of forgiveness. Is that the reason why they are holding on to these dark spots? What is it that is drawing people back? If even when you see that outwardly, they look like they want to move on, but there is a force within that keeps drawing them back. They can engage customers. They know all the head knowledge. They have put things in place, but they are still where they are. What could be the problem? That's why we are dealing with what we are dealing with. Mama, later when we talk about the case, I know you know about it, of somebody that came to our anyway, let's talk about this one first before we get there.
Okay, you want us to begin to resolve the pain. Do you want us to resolve the
yes,
pain?
some of these things. I read in your profile, Mama, how pain gives way to power. I read that out just now. Pain giving way to power. So we want to begin to see how we can use pain as a tool to arrive at that powerful place.
Okay. It means I'm going to go to the beginning. What I said at the beginning. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yes, that's very okay.
Okay, so let's begin by number one. Let's create a safe environment where it is okay to feel pain. Let's create that environment. Let's not tell people, it's all right. What has happened to is is this, that kind of thing. When someone, I remember this act room where we had practiced. We brought in someone into this act room and told the person to paint, and we realized that the person painted only dark pictures, horrors. So that is an extension of what is going on in the person's heart. The question is this: can we first of all create an environment where it is okay for people to say, I'm wounded, something has happened to me, where they are free to say, okay, I don't have anything to be grateful for. I have blind spots. And none of us, first of all, acknowledge that it is okay. It is okay not to feel okay, but it's not okay not to stay not feeling okay. So the first one is to create a safe place where someone can ventilate very easily without being judged. The second one is to help the person to admit that something has happened to you. If someone is not able to find something to be grateful for, or the person has a blind spot, Genius Hub, it's okay to get the person to admit that something has really happened to you. It's very okay. And let the person know that you're not a bad person, that to acknowledge that you have been offended. And also let the person know that your healing begins the moment you admit that something, someone, somewhere, or something, a circumstance or anything has done something to you that injured you. It's okay. All right. If they understand that it's not right to sweep it under the carpet, because when you sweep it under the carpet, you start harboring resentment, which is not good for your health. It might interest you a case I handled where a woman had a diagnosis. It was a heart enlargement, and then has affected the thyroid. Went to a university teaching hospital, and that was done. And we were thinking about all the areas to get it done. And we just started talking. And while we were talking, I just said, would you like to forgive your dad? She wept like someone who has been beaten like a lion. I'm just making a summary. Wept like someone had been beaten like a lion. And she said when the dad died, the uncles came and collected everything. The dad had just finished building a house. So the dad corpse was brought into the house. He couldn't live in this house because he had died before then. That she had stomached that pain for 30 years. And do you know that the moment she released that pain, I kept insisting that she must go back to the hospital. She said, I couldn't climb my house, but now I can. I insisted. After about 8 weeks, she returned. All the things have been resolved. So we must understand that when you harbor resentment, you're creating health crisis for yourself. Obey. I said this thing before, I should say them again. Admitting that you heard what I said. Obey, all that was resolved. I insisted. She said, oh, I couldn't climb up. I know I'm feeling better. I said, no, go back to the hospital. And just by releasing that resentment and all of that, first of all, it was a blind spot. It was a blind spot. She didn't know that she had harbored that resentment for 30 years until while we're sitting down in a therapy section and it just popped up. She shouted. She said, I didn't know that this thing was still there. But she went through the forgiveness, and sincerely, today, that woman is okay. I can tell you others, but time will not fail me. Let us tell the people that you have not forgiven the person. Forgiveness, when you say I've forgiven the person, it does not mean that before you forgive the person, you're not spiritual, you don't have noble character. It just simply means that something happened to you. Someone needs to process you out of this. Let's stop making people feel that they are not spiritual because something happened, and at that point, see, if person they feel pain, we need to help them. And then I think the next thing, I've raised about 3 or 4 topics and things I should say. It doesn't mean what the person has done. Forgiveness does not mean what the person has done is okay. It doesn't mean what the person has done is okay. It just simply means that someone took an arrow, hit you, you felt the pain. The result of feeling the pain is what you're feeling on your inside, but it's not okay to keep it because you're not forgiving for the person. You're forgiving for yourself. And there's no way you can move on further in life with such crisis. You can't do business. You can't maximize yourself. All the things that are teaching you at Genius Hub. Resentment will blur your vision. You're not able to see and interpret. Even when they give you money to start business, you will spend it on your resentment. Because at times, resentment, unresolved issues will open you up to different kinds of addiction, unresolved wounds of deprivation. When they are not resolved, you can use the money that Junior Son said, use this to go and start business. You can use it to start medicating a pain, which could be porn, which could be anything that is dangerous to you. So it's important that those who are listening to us know that forgiveness is that grain of rice that tilts the balance towards your healing. Thank you.
Hey, our listeners, are you hearing us the way me I'm hearing this thing?
I don't hear you.
Oh, they hear now. They hear you, Mama. You can hear me now. I'm asking our people whether they are hearing it the way I am hearing, because it looks like it is only me you are talking to. You can hear. I think they can hear me because I can hear myself.
My sister, I can't hear you at all.
You can't hear me. You can't hear me. And I'm
maybe
on.
you should sign up
hear.
and sign in.
Any other person can hear me. Any other person can hear me. We're asking that they keep the questions coming.
If you can hear me, I can't hear you.
Other flip side. Hey. Media, what is happening? She can't hear me. Oh. Okay, is it better now? Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now. Mama, can you hear me? This is a lot better now. This our network today, whether I likes it or not, we'll finish this our program. Oh. So, Mama, I guess you can hear me now. We have talked about those who are not doing well in business, in life, because they are carrying some baggages and they need to offload. Now, Mama, we want to look at people who seemingly are doing very well. They are doing well in business. Oh, we see them. They are doing well in their career paths. They are wonderful. They look wonderful on the outside. But from a closer look, these people are what I will call wounded wounders. Oh, they cannot offer you a kind word. Oh, everything has to be prim and proper the way they see it. They are doing well on the, everybody can see that, oh, people want to be like them. But we know that these people are still dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional. They are dysfunctional because they are little things where human beings can show an act of kindness. And then they bring in some laws. We have them all around us. We want to address this kind of people. These other ones that are fine, they are clean, they look well, they look really healthy. But on a very closer look, we can still see that there's something broken in them. First of all, it's difficult because there's a case we were talking about in our office this morning. This person does not even want to admit that something is wrong. How do we address this type? And it becomes an issue. I was talking about it with my colleague in the office, and we said, so where is the starting point? Where is the starting point of this kind of case? Mama, did you get my question? Mama, did you hear me?
I did. I'm hearing you from another device. Oh, but can you hear me?
Okay. Okay.
Do you really want me to answer?
I can hear you.
Do you sincerely want me to answer? Okay.
Yes,
you know,
I want. Yes,
I was
sincerely.
driving. When I was driving this car, there was a place I was driving to. Then I stopped. You see, when people have been broken, brokenness is in different ways. So what happens? I spoke about someone who is in jail, that the only difference is that the jail is not in a particular position. So for this kind of people, what happens is that when something has happened to you, you fear human beings. When you see a human being, it spells of pain. So you are afraid of intimacy. And you were created for intimacy with your children, intimacy with other people. You are talking about your colleagues. There is a level of relationship that you share in that Junior's Hub office. Okay, when you have such a person, the person will have to now have counterfeit intimacy and will not be able to bond with other human beings in a healthy form. So the person will now have to, what you're supposed to do with human beings, you do it with a job. You have a great relationship with your career. You give the kind of love you're supposed to give to human beings, you give it to the career. And then you use human beings as tools and relate to your job like you relate to a human being. Is a level of brokenness. Okay? So the person will have a very, you see the person looks okay, everything is going on, but something is boiling on the inside. It's not obvious. The person smiles, projects a persona that says, I'm okay. You can see the person on the pages of a highly priced magazine. See the person and you think this person is very okay. Let me give you an instance. If I've seen on social media, we see people who are so okay that in their okayness, they will do something. Say, is this a human being or the person is okay? But so what happens is that because you are afraid of dealing with, you're not aware that you're afraid of dealing with human beings. You're not aware. It's not so. If it is oh, the person is sexually abused, you know that person is sexually abused, but this person can be wounded at the point of neglect. And it's not obvious. You know, wounds of neglect, wounds of deprivation is not obvious. For instance, you grew up under a father where there was a performance orientation syndrome. You are growing up, all you know how to do for you to have affirmation, identity, it's performance. When I say performance, please don't get me wrong. Performance does not mean that you will not do the right thing, but you do the right thing, propelled by wrong motives.
I'm hearing you.
Unfortunately, those are the people that when they come in front of them, say nothing is wrong with me. Hey, I'm okay. I'm okay. In fact, they will be the one telling you, see, it's my wife that has a problem. It's not me. It's my sister that has a problem. By the time they sit in front of you, you take them through any kind of therapy, you discover that they're even more wounded than the ones that are obvious. So there are two kinds of trauma. That's where you are leading me to. There are two kinds of trauma: trauma A and trauma B.
Yes, that's where
there are two kinds of trauma. There is trauma A and trauma B. Yes. So when you deal with
yes.
Okay, when are we ending?
In a few minutes time, just a few minutes time. We cannot finish everything in this. We are just
okay. Let's pursue this.
Scratching.
When you say trauma A, it refers to acute events that caused significant distress and limits one oyibo. Let's take it easy. So when you say trauma A, it talks about just acute events. A represents acute events. So what are then acute events? Significant distress that limits your functioning or even stunts your emotional, relational, and even spiritual growth. That is the one that is everywhere. People are looking at it. But the worst is trauma B. Trauma B is developmental in nature. It seems unnoticeable. It comes through days, weeks, years. You cannot really point to one specific event, but complex things that are going on in their world. They have experienced, they have gone through early experiences of deprivation, neglect, abandonment, and rejection that is showing in what is going on today. And most times we stay with the trauma A, but the trauma B is where the problem is. Genius Hub, obey.
I don't know whether our listeners have some questions for us. So we want Mama's social media handles and all our social media handles to begin to scroll now. Mama, some people are going to be reaching out to you after now. You know, some of these things, this is a public space. We are doing a live program, and people may not be able to
Wait, I can't hear you
now to say, I have
don't
this
run
issue.
too far.
So how do we reach you? I've asked OSAS to share your social media pages, to share some of your programs with us so that we can scroll, so that people can reach out. Can you hear now?
Okay, you know, there are 4 ways you can reach me. The first one is every Thursday, that is the 5th day of the week. We have one-on-one section with people.
Are you hearing
first of
now?
all, there is, if I tell you, we have so many people
I said
on
that
our waiting
people,
list. Now,
there are
as we
people
speak.
who are listening.
That happens every Thursday. Then every Thursday evening, we talk about this. We talk about it for 30 minutes. We talk about it for 30. Reason, you see, when COVID-19 came, there was awareness creation. They were telling people this is what it is, this is what it looks like, so that people can look at it, identify it for what it is. There seems to be color. I don't just want to say there is color. You can hear that there is awareness. So on Thursdays, we create awareness on this, and then we also have workshops where people sit down and go through an entire process. And then we also have rooms where we have art therapy for those who will need to go through this kind of process. My social media handle is actually the letter K, Bensonahiwe, not K-A-Y, letter K, Bensonahiwe. Thank you so much, Genius Hall. Thank you for what you're doing. Just keep doing more. We have seen the mighty things you have done, and keep doing. Thank you, and have a pleasant day. Four ways you can.
Okay, so these are our own social media handles. We also want Mama's social media handles to be scrolling now. Please, media, we put it on the backstage. Our personal IG, the healing program, at Unbounds at Facebook, LinkedIn, K Benson Akigbe. Follow us. It's been very, I don't know whether to say traumatic, because we are doing trauma now. The network became very traumatic. I do not understand. And so we're trying to wrap now. We don't know if there's any questions. Anyone who wants to ask us a question as we wrap, can you just drop your questions? We will reach you. This section has been very, very enriching. Mama, there is a question here for you. How can we strike a balance between forgiving someone and trusting same person again. Before Mama comes, Oba Ovie, first and foremost, we said that forgiveness is good for you. I once heard someone define forgiveness. I once heard someone define unforgiveness as you drinking poison and thinking that this poison will kill somebody else. So when you know that forgiveness, first and foremost, is something that is good unto you, and you have accepted it, now you have taken one step. Now you have forgiven the person. The next stage is trust. How do you build up trust the same person again? First of all, when you have gone through the fact that it is you who is at the receiving end, you are the one who is going to be, whom this forgiveness is beneficial also to. So you are asking me now, how does trusting someone again, how will it benefit me again? Now, forgiveness, as we will later come to learn,
I'm sure she's having a challenge
I'm
with her
silent. Are you
network.
in the show now, Mama? There is a question now. Mama, there's a question now.
Okay, Obe, we must now differentiate between forgiveness boundaries. They are not the same thing. I have forgiven you does not mean that I will not create adequate boundaries for you. Okay, so the reason why the thing you did, for which I said I forgive you, not for you, I forgive you for myself, but there is boundary. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. That I have forgiven you does not mean that we're going to go back to how where the relationship was. It just simply means that the resentment and the, put it this way, maybe the hatred I have towards you is no longer there. But I'm going to put adequate boundaries, and then we're going to, because trust is earned, and then we're going to walk through it, putting appropriate boundaries, maintaining levels of reconciliation. So we won't just say, I forgive you today, oh, and then we're back to where we used to be. It's not the same thing. I wonder whether you're even hearing what I'm saying. What's going on? Hey, did you hear me this time? I'm sure we're having serious network issues, but I think I've answered the question. I think I've answered the question. While we wait for them to get back here, I said there is forgiveness, there is reconciliation, there is boundaries. They are not the same thing. Restored relationship is not always the primary objective of forgiveness. It's not always the primary objective. Therefore, you do not have to become best friends to have a relationship fully salvaged in order to satisfy the conditions of forgiveness. Sometimes reconciliation might not even be possible, because sometimes the people that you're talking about, some of them are even dead or unreachable. But the idea is to remove the pent up emotion, the toxic emotion that has been present in your life. Thank you. How can we strike a balance? I've answered the question. Any other question, Genius Hub? Other than that, in the absence of every other question, shall we call it a day?
Does healing only come from speaking out? I mean, do you have to tell someone about it? Does healing only come from speaking out? Do you have to tell someone about it? Thank you, Joy, for that question. As we are wrapping up, we want to end this session now. I think network will not let our guests join us. But media, can you just share that her flyer for the event? How to deal with unhealthy shame. Let's chat on Thursday with how to deal with unhealthy shame. Live streaming at K. Benson Ahigbe on the 8th, on the 15th, and on the 22nd and 29th of August. All Thursdays in August. So we have 15th coming up. We have 22nd yet ahead and 29th. Yeah, that is it there. So you can follow her on all these programs and events on the 15th, on the 22nd, and on the 29th of August. At the times, the various times are here where you can meet up so that we can talk more about what we started today, dealing with trauma 1, trauma 2, and how forgiveness plays a major role in setting us free and helping us to unleash our own potentials. Or you can join us at Genius Hub. Tomorrow is another day. We want to, in a very special way, thank Pastor K. Benson Ahigbe II. We have seen the passion with which she does her work. We have seen the passion with which she's talking about trauma, healing, and forgiveness, because this is what she does. This is her everyday life. She can talk about this from now till the end of the day. But for the sake of time, we are wrapping now and we are ending this program. And we are saying we are very grateful for this time she has shared with us with these words. And we are saying thank you, wishing you all the best. And so from all of us at Genius Hub, until you join us again tomorrow, same time, we will sign in off now. Thank you one, thank you all. We want to also remind you that it is summer and all our children are in our office doing their summer holiday classes. We have classes for all the ICT sessions. We have graphic design, product design, web design, data analytics. We have photography, we have cinematography, lighting, sound design, video editing, and we have tailoring. And all these skills, we garnish all of them with our life skills, mental health, and psychosocial support. Bring your children, let them come and experience this change. Fridays, we have our movie day where they watch movies, very wonderful movies, telling us stories about integrity, telling us how to live our lives. Very wonderful movies. So bring your children. Our office is at Edo Production Center, Saple Road, Benin City. We have another office in Lagos at Ayobo. Tell your children it is time to experience the Genius Hub effect. Thank you, one. Thank you all. Thank you, Mama, again. I think network locked out. Thank